What up, peeps? It's your girl Josh coming back to you for Real Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to Black Lightning Episode 7, The Book of Blood, Chapter 3, The Sange. Now this episode was fully loaded to bear, and this was a great episode. Of course, you all know Chapter 2 had to deal with more of the Purdy, but this one we got a little bit more of an insight into the Sange. Now, starting out the episode, you see Jefferson, of course, walking through the woods, just trying to now locate the other baby and the grandparents to the baby for Anaya, her mom and her dad. And of course he comes across, because he's following the silver element that's working his way back, and he comes across some African Americans who have been strung up into the woods, whatever. So right there you hear him make a comment about, something that's crossed the line. He's talking to Anissa. She of course is with Anaya, trying to keep her safe and her baby. And he's just like, okay. By then, he decides to go camouflage because he hears a couple of the Sange on their way into the woods to kind of check the perimeter, make sure there's nobody else out there. There might be a Purdy. And he kind of gets into it, whichever, with them. And they eventually get the upper hand. And he gets, of course, abducted. And then he's hanged and tied up to what looks like to be some sort of electrical fence. And of course, the looker, she wants to have this little moment where she wants to praise, I've admired you, the things you've done, whatever. And he's looking at her like, really? You're a racist. And she's like, why would you say that? Just straight out the gate, whichever. Nice flag. And then from there, he discussed, how she's like, well, the African Americans, you all wear, maybe wear a shirt that's, says I'm black and proud, but, we can't be white people, and be, proud, whichever. And he's just like, you're stringing up people, from the trees and all that, whichever and all that. No, he's not here for it. And then, of course, she's, saying that, there was both wrongs on both sides, being because, of course, Deacon was killed by a Purdy, and I do agree with that wholeheartedly. But, sweetie, that doesn't absolve you of all the things you've done, plus the things you're doing to the people of South Freeland, making them do your bidding and all that, probably killing people. All God knows what else she's actually done. And from there, he's like, you know what, I'm looking forward to taking you down. He's like, are not in the position to do anything right now. So from there, it kind of shows her telling them to electrocute him. Now, this is the part I thought was rather comical. She must think it's the suit. You're a metahuman. You're, similar in the fact that you have certain powers and all that. What would make you think it's the suit? Black Lightning, it's nothing registered with him when she's putting all this electrical volts in him, whichever, having her minions do it, whichever, and telling him to leave it on, whatever, and all that until he dies, whatever, because at first she gets a sense of the baby, the white baby with Anaya, and then that's when she realized, okay, I need to, locate this baby. When I'm feeling the baby, I sense the baby. So that's when they realized they had to go to Freeland to figure out where this baby is at, whichever. So she leaves some of her hench minions to do her bidding while she's away. Of course, you see the scene where, of course, he hears the babies, and they think that he's dead, so they turn it off, and he's like, thank you. He says, it's not my suit that makes me powerful, but thank you for the charge. And then he, of course, charges them and gets the upper hand, and then he goes upstairs, of course, suit on, whatever, finds the baby, and of course, one of them tries to snook up on the side, and he decks them, and he walks over to the baby, a little cute little moment with the little baby, making a little Google eye noises, whatever. So from there, it shows, of course, Anaya having a conversation with Anissa, and she brings her mother into the fold to let her know you can trust her. She's a doctor. She wants to check her vitals, check the baby, get a little blood. There's a moment where you see a situation where the vial that Anissa took of some of the silver element from Deacon comes out, and it tries to work its way towards the baby, but she catches it before Anaya can see it. And I thought that was really interesting, because since that's part of the looker, if that had been part of the baby, would that have had a way to showcase exactly where the baby was for her to sense? Just all these little things were going through my mind with that scene, whatever. But it was very interesting, whatever, because Lynn had no idea what that was. When she came there, she's looking like, what is that? Because she said, did you see that? And she's like, what's going on? So I thought that was really interesting as well. Now, in regards to Jennifer and Khalil, after last week's episode where he had a moment where he's like, Tobias wants to make me a killer. He, of course, whooped that tail. He is explaining to her they're at the back of the school over in the, the track area. And they're just having a conversation where he's trying to explain to her how, Tobias wants me killed and I can't go back to him until I do or whatever. Otherwise, he'll probably give him another beat down. And she's like, is there a way you can keep trying to talk to Reverend Holt, whatever, and I'll keep you buy yourself some time. You need to get this handled or whatever. My father says, you come up with some strategy and all that, build a plan and you'll work it out. She's like, we're going to handle this, whatever. And she's like, turns to him when he started getting more frustrated, like it's a lost cause. She's like, I got you. And he kind of just looks at her, unbeknownst to him. Little does he know. So from there, you see the scene, of course, Gamby's still in the hotel. not really doing anything, whichever, and all that. Just probably still trying to figure out who is trying, to assassinate him. He's not dealing with a little bit of information the guy gave him that he tortured and killed, where it was done through, online. It was Bitcoin, whatever. But then you see him filling out some, like little sketches of, looks like it'd be a motorcycle. My thing is, I'm wondering, is that going to be for, Black Lightning, or would that be for Thunder? Because we know he can, fly in the air, whatever, and all that, and go places. I wonder if he's going to give it to her. I'm curious about this particular motorcycle. Who's going to be at the helm of this? Is some new gadget towards the end of the season we'll see that he's going to create. I like the thought of that, whatever. I'll give a little extra stuff to, to add on for some of the features they use for their tech and all the other little things that they'll have, little goodies or whatever. So I'm excited about that. Now for, there you do see the scene of eventually Jefferson shows up and he finds out that Gambi's there. Now I didn't note that he finds a little tracker from the little device that he had, that was airborne, shooting up some of the, the Sange, whatever they were trying to, kill the Purdy. And from there he's like, you look good for a dead guy. And he's just like, sorry, somebody's trying to assassinate me. They're still out there, whatever. I'm trying to protect myself and protect, you and your family. He's like, we're your family. Like after all these years, me being a teen, all the way up grown adult, grown man with a family, you wouldn't realize that. And he gives him a big bear hug, whichever. And you could just tell that was a beautiful scene. You could tell Gambi was like, I'm sorry, because he would never want to put him through that, to know that, yeah, you're my family, please, like don't ever do that to me again, after what they've been through in season 1, keeping things from him, the lies of betrayal, and then being redeemed and being helpful to him and the family and all that, and back in the fold, whatever and all. We don't want to go down that road again, doing things like that, and not keeping him in the loop. If anybody, I would think he would let at least Jefferson. I can see not letting Anissa, Lynn, and Jennifer know right away, but Jefferson of all people, I'm like, come on now. So, but yeah, so from there, of course, you see the scene of course, Anissa deciding to let her mom and Anaya go in another room to be locked and set, because she knows that she feels that she's going to, the Looker will show up with her minions and they're going to come and try to get the baby. And of course, they do. She gets upper hand when she does one of her claps, which knocks her crew out. And then it's just her and the Looker, and that's a good fight sequence. I enjoyed that immensely. That was done really well. She does eventually get the upper hand on a Thunder, but then of course her father shows up to save the day, and that was good because he was able to let her get the upper hand on the Looker and push her up against the wall, and that was a good scene. From there you see her hold on them, some sort of like type of wavelength, algorithm, brain, wavelength, whatever. It deteriorates, and then they wake up from being in some sort of trance, whatever, and they just leave. At first Jefferson's kind of not sure what to do. She's like, no, let them go, they're fine. From there, they decide, what should we do? And he's like, I'm going to let her ASA deal. And he's like, well, what about the, she's a metahuman. He's like, she can deal with that. I'll let her, that's on her. Now, that was interesting because I didn't expect him to go there, because we know what they do with other ones, whichever. But after what she did out in those woods, I'm really not that surprised. He was like, no, I'm not here to help her. No, because if that woman had her chance and he let her go and decided to, she would just use other people to do her bidding again. So it was like, no, we're going to have Lynn, since she was ASA, whatever, get an anonymous tip and come and deal with this woman. So from there you see that. Then you see another scene with Anissa, of course, with Grace, and they're just, watching TV, which looked like to be an episode of The Girlfriends, from CW back in the day, and that was nice. And of course, Grace gets up talking about, she's corny, she's putting some little fine joke on her and all. She jumps up, goes to the bathroom, and of course she's having another, what seems to be like a moment, like a breakout again of her, what looks to be some of her powers. This time you see more of her eyes change a little bit too, like they're very white with a little blackness, whatever. And it was just like, she takes some medication again. And like, I'm trying to understand what kind of medication you have that can instantly stop this stuff from coming to the forefront and revealing and exposing her. I'm just looking forward to her coming clean. But see, she doesn't know Anissa's Thunder. I think if she knew she had some sort of powers with and all that, and she would feel like she could trust Grace to tell her that, then Grace hopefully could feel, the same way to tell her what she has. I feel like something's going to go down and she's going to expose herself in some way on her body of something, and Anissa's going to see it, and it could be when she's spending the night one night and she's in the bed. It's going to come out, and I feel like it's going to happen before the end of the season, or they're going to be somewhere and it's going to come and trigger and come out. And that's what she's going to find. And I think Anissa will be understanding. She'll probably be hurt. And she didn't tell her. But then it's like, you can't be, because you're not telling her about you being Thunder. But it's going to come out. And I hope it does soon. Because I really want to know what she really is. Some people are talking about her being some sort of Amazonian woman, whichever. And some people keep bringing up Cheetah. you never know. I don't know how the comics have her written, whichever, but I'm looking forward to understanding this with the research or whichever of what they're going to showcase through the show. I'm just going to watch it through the show. I could go and find it, whatever, but I want to see how they're going to tell her story, her arc, whatever, with how they're doing it. She's now having more visibility on the show. It looks like they're giving her more recurring episodes now, which is nice. So she is now somebody that Anissa is seeing as her girlfriend, whatever, whichever. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, moving on from there, you see the scene, of course, of Anissa prior to that, taking Anaya back to her father from there and seeing that she finds out that her mother has been passed, whatever, and all that. And she has a breakdown, all that. Her father consoles her, whichever. And then that's when Anissa and one of the other Purdy bring the babies to them. He looks at them both and he embraces them. He takes the white baby first and the black baby. And his daughter is so happy. And she just puts her head on his shoulder. And he's caressing both the babies, just looking at them. And I love that moment. I thought it was beautifully done. And I'm glad that he's open, because if you all remember last week's episode, she made it known when she was discussing the Sange and the Purdy how her father does not like the Sange nor white people in general at all. So this is definitely a nice little turn of events for him, which is lovely, and I love that. So, but from there, Jennifer and Khalil, of course, like you said, they're having a moment, where, she, of course, had talked to him on the track, and she's like, I got you. From there, it shows him going to see Reverend Holt, explain to him, I'm not trying to kill you, but Tobias wants you dead. I'm trying to get you to leave. And he's like, you know what? What happens will happen. It's up to God, whatever. It's fine. And it's like, nothing else Khalil can say to him, so he decides to leave. So he's walking across the street from the church. Tobias shows up in his nice little car, talking about getting the car. And of course, that's when he runs away and whatever. And Tobias is like, get out, get in the car. He gone. The boy's like, whatever. But from there, I was hoping that Khalil would realize there's a reason why he, of course, found you, is because he's tracking you. He has some sort of tracking him. When he put that stuff in his body for him to walk and do down the road his bidding for him, he made sure he had that sort of gadget already in the mix. So if he goes anywhere, he could track him. But that lets me wonder. He definitely knows he probably visits his mother from time to time, but he doesn't know about that house. But that's Jefferson Pierce's house. Eventually, I just feel like he's going to show up at that house to see Jennifer, and he's going to put her in harm's way with that. And that's one of the reasons why I know Jefferson definitely wants her to stay with him, for that simple fact that he works with Tobias. She's already in the fold. She's aware of more information now. He's trusting her to tell her these things, and she's trusting him, and vice versa for her, that she will, be there for him and all, and understand what he's going through. So I like that they're kind of working together to work to help each other in that instance or whatever. So of course he goes to an alley, hides behind these two trash can bins. I'm like, brother, that is not a good hiding place. You're out in the open still. And of course these goons show up. By then he'd already called her and told her, and she's like, stay there. Because at first the sweetest thing happens where she's like, no, don't come in. She's like, would you leave me? And the first thing out of Khalil's mouth was like, no. She's like, tell me where you are. I'm coming with. So eventually he doesn't know she's already there, hiding out. And she busts out the lights. She busts out the signal. They don't know where he's at. And she's like, follow my voice. He, of course, figures out she's up on top of one of the buildings, jumps up with his, legs or whatever, and all that, comes in and opens up, the door. And he's like, I can't see you, where are you? And she, of course, lights up a, little lightning bolt or whatever. And she's like, can you see me? And then from there, they have a conversation where she's like, nothing will be the same. I was a queen of Garfield and now I'm like a freak. And he's like, you're not a freak. You are beautiful. And I thought that was sweet for him to say. But she's like, no, I have this stuff shooting out of my body. You're not understanding. And he's like, well, do you understand what's happening to me? I have this silver stuff, whatever, and all that helps me to walk all in my back and in my leg. And she's like, it's like, how do you think I feel? Whatever. And they have a little laughing moment. And of course, a kiss. That sparks a nice little spark in him. And she's all freaking out. And he's like, the kiss was like fire. And it was, because if you all remember the scene with Lynn and Jefferson when they were kissing, she's claiming, it was some sort of bug or whatever. And when he comes over and they start kissing, you see the blue streaks in her arms, her mouth, whichever. So she doesn't know the potential of that not being an issue for being, intimate in any capacity, kissing or whatever with him yet. So eventually, that will eventually hopefully come awry, whatever. And from there, she just decides, that she needs to, really figure out what she's going to do, whichever. Because before that, she goes to see the character played by Erica Alexander. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name at the moment. My apologies. And she explains to her, she doesn't know how much more of this, type of love she can take from her parents, being sheltered and, locked down in the house, can't go anywhere, can't go to school, being homeschooled. She's just not feeling it, whatever, and all that. She just feel like something's got to give. So that's why she's using this opportunity to be able to help to, honestly, let's just say her boyfriend, Khalil, whichever, and getting out of the house, whatever. This gives her something to do, whichever. She's cooped up. And from there, she, of course, is still with Khalil, whatever, and it shows a scene of her, of course, him kissing her hand, which is so cute. And he's like, so do you sure you want to leave? She's like, let's go. They decide to go on the run. They decide to leave Freeland. I don't know where they're going to. But before that, you see the scene where Lynn comes home after helping Anissa and Anaya, and she realizes her daughter's not there. That's when she has explained to them, you all need to give her some space. She's like, her powers are unbelievable. They're more than his. They have no idea what they're dealing with. If you don't try to, be supportive and a little bit more saying whatever, I give her that space, you're going to get something you do not want to have from her, where she can go either way. She could turn on them, whatever and all, and use her stuff totally in a totally different way, instead of honing it, learning to control it, whatever, when it needs to come out, similar to how Black Lightning does his. He's able to control his stuff. There's been so many different moments, whatever. She'll have moments looking at the laptop, looking at Khalil, talking about, you're going to avoid me. She's caused your laptop to go on fire, or when she was at the school last season, whatever, and they were taking her father handcuffed, and she could have lost control right there, and everybody would have known her secret. So it's just like, these things are happening, and that's what's going to happen now, because now I wonder, now that Khalil, he has his tracker, is it completely malfunctioned? Did she cause it now that? Because I don't know if Tobias is going to find a way to have his minions on the run trying to find him, because he might know that he's gone, whatever, not realizing he's not alone. He could be putting her in danger if Tobias has his little hench 100 men come out for him, whichever. Same thing. The situation, this putting his mother in danger, whatever, and all that, because he might use her as a threat to get back to making him come back to Freeland. The parents are going to be worried about their daughter and all that, where is she at, whatever, is it that mean that, and this is going to finally realize or tell her if she's with a boy, because of course they're going to eventually tell her, yeah, your sister's somewhere, she's with a boy, and then have to fess up and tell her, yeah, it's Khalil, whatever, knowing her father doesn't want her around Khalil because of course of what he did to him, but not realizing the full gist of everything. Eventually all of it's going to come out. Eventually Jennifer's going to tell him the situation with him, whatever. Eventually they'll probably work with him, but it'll be kind of at a standalone, because he does know something. He might be able to help with that briefcase. That would be great. That could redeem him a little bit, and she can finally be with him, whichever, all out and open. And I feel like she has to hide from her, whichever, but too late now, because I feel like that's going to come out. Secondly, with Grace, I want Anissa to find out about Grace. That needs to come out. This is long overdue. I know we're still learning. It's still fresh and new. But I'm wondering what's going to happen. Is she going to be somewhere with Anissa out, whatever, and all, something going to happen that's going to trigger it? And then this medication. What kind of medication you take that instantly within less than a minute, you can subdue your powers, so they're not, out, you can suppress. I like to know what kind of medication that really is. And I like how she moved them and turned around so they're not visible and seen. Because I'm assuming if Anissa stays over at night, might not to say be nosy, but she doesn't want her to see them, whatever. God forbid something happened to those things, because she could have a flare up. It could happen. So I really want to know more about Grace's powers. I know people have been talking about some sort of Amazonian thing, whatever. I don't know. So we'll have to see about that. I'm not going to read anything about it, research or comic books about that. I want to see how they're going to portray her type of storyline, her arc, whatever, in regards to that. Also, I'm also curious about the Looker. I feel like eventually, if Tobias is trying to find a way to figure out what's in that briefcase, if it works towards dealing with any of those people in those pods or any powers, if the ASA gets their hands on the Looker and all that, will he find a way to infiltrate that government, that company? Because he does have, he worked with one of that mean guy, and of course other characters, similar, same thing with Jill Scott's character, whatever, when she was there. We'll have to see. He might eventually, let free her. You never know. I already said how I felt about Dr. Jace. He might find a way to, get her out, whatever, and she might end up working for him. And that's why I said Linus, watch her back, because Dr. Jace might find a way to get revenge on her for having her locked back up again. There's all these little things that can possibly happen. Same thing with Gamby, whichever. I want to know who tried to kill him. I feel like at the top of the list right now is Tobias. Unless somebody else in the ASA government that we don't know about, because Gamby's not telling all of his backstory. We already, of course, know about Jefferson and his father, but other than that, we don't know anything about him. Who else has he worked with over the decades? It's not like all those workers were around him and Jefferson while he was tending to Jefferson and helping him, as he was growing up, becoming a student person in the Freeland, community or whatever. there's more to Gambit, and I want them to give us more about Gambit. It can't just be always about these little things that he's doing where he's helping them. I need some story about him. I want to know about his past. Was there a woman? Did he have a family? I need more about Gambit now. We need some arc. But I'm loving what they're doing with it. I wanted to speak on that part. I noticed this season we're doing the situation where it seems to be like a certain arc where it's a chapter 1 to chapter 4. I don't know if we're going to have a chapter 4. I'm assuming with maybe next week's episode because we had a 1, 2, and 3 going to this particular arc. I'm liking the way they're doing it. I know some people have been talking about how they're not sure how they're feeling about this season, whatever, and all. They really enjoyed last season. I'm loving all of it. There's nothing wrong with this season, honestly. What? I don't want it to be anything similar to any of the other CW shows. They all doing their so-called thing. And a lot of those other shows go through their moments where some people, of course, might not like the way they're doing a certain particular storyline. Some of them will be a storyline where it's the same storyline, but they just keep adding certain things onto it, whichever. And it's like the whole storyline, whichever, throughout the whole season. This one is giving us different types of arcs with certain things in regards to metahumans, certain arcs in regards to, like I said, Dr. Linden with her situation. You know, of course, certain things now happening with Gambi. Now we have a certain situation with an arc with Anissa and Grace, which eventually will come into fruition. We have an arc going on with now Khalil and Jennifer. I'm loving it the way they're doing it. Nothing wrong with it for me. I'm here for it. I will say this. I'm loving the music, how they do some of the music. Of course, you know, I heard some, you know, Sade, Soldier of Love, love that, whichever. But there were certain parts, like the fight scene between the Looker and Anissa. I didn't particularly care for the music. I really wish it was just an instrumental. I really hope that sometimes they'll just do just the music like they've done, even in the last season, whichever, and just keep it where it's just an instrumental. Then have to always be some, you know, actual singing. Now, I didn't mind the music at the end with Khalil and oh gosh, Jennifer's character, whichever. That was fine because, come to be known, it was Jennifer's character. I cannot remember her name. Oh my gosh. Bear with me, guys. My apologies for that. She actually sung the song, you know, that was being played at her particular scene with him in the show that led up to the end when they were, of course, in the car driving away from Freeland, whichever. So that's her giving us that beautiful voice of hers, whichever. And I already know because her and her sisters, they have beautiful voice. They are singers, and I love that she has a little song that's getting ready to come out. I don't know if it's already out. They might have already posted to a certain, you know, I don't know if it's on iTunes or whatever for people to buy after the episode from Tuesday night. So we'll have to see. People are going to probably want to buy it because I did read some comments. Some people were like, they really were enjoying that song. Didn't realize it was her. So kudos to her. But yes, like I said, so that part, you know, yeah, I don't mind the music most of the time, but sometimes in certain fight sequences, I want to just concentrate on the looking at the fight, whatever, not trying to concentrate on it, and then hearing the song playing, whatever, and all, kind of distracting a little bit at times, whatever. But overall, I don't really have a problem with it. It is what it is because it's something different, and I like the way they're doing the overall look, appearance of these particular episodes for this particular season. So, but yes, this was a good episode. I love this. I'm loving me some Khalil and Jennifer. I'm loving them. I love everything about them being together. I know a lot of people are not feeling them being together. I don't care for what he did, whichever. He's not fully aware that Black Lightning is Jefferson, whichever, and all that. That's why I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you all are not telling, similar to how they did Henderson. You know, he, you know, didn't want to do that. He blames him, whichever. Now he knows the truth, whichever, and all that. Not to take away from what he has done, whichever, but all of it's out. Jennifer is willing to forgive him, whatever, and all that, and she's the one that truly wants to be with him and wants to be his girlfriend, and vice versa, him her boyfriend, whatever. So eventually her parents are going to have to come around because unless something dramatic happens, she decides she don't want to be with them, they're going to be together. Now, the only thing I can think of is if, God forbid, they tried to take him in this season and he's gone, that'll be a part of another arc that can go on, whatever. I'm not going to jump out there thinking that can happen. I hope it doesn't. I hope they keep him around and get him to the good side, because even like a couple episodes ago, Jefferson said to him as Black Lightning, he said, you know, I can help, help, work with me, this, and he kept blaming him, and he had to, teach him a little lesson, hard way, whatever. When he picked him up and threw him down, whatever. But I feel like he is redeemable, whichever. He's trying to do the right thing. Same thing, like you can tell Reverend Hope understands. He's like, God, will help, it's not too late, whichever. So I'm really hoping it's not too late for him. But leaving out of town is not going to be endearing to the parents, but it is what it is. So, and they need to not try to come for Jennifer in a way when she does have to, get back in the fold of her parents and her sister and all that, and try to tell her to stay away from, because if they do that, they are not going to like the response they'll get from her. Clearly, she definitely has not honed her powers yet, and that's going to be an issue on its own, whatever. They try to force her and all, and he can't force her because she's more powerful than him from what the character said about her, played by Erica Alexander. So yes, I'm looking forward to next week's episode, seeing how that's going to pan out, how far they're going to get, who they're going to run into. Is Tobias going to send some henchmen out, whatever, from his 100 to go find him, locate him? If the tracker's still working, we'll have to see, whichever. But I really want him to work with the family. He knows what that briefcase is. He saw him when he put it in that little thing. Does he know the code? He needs to find a way to suck it up and find a way to get it, or get a way to have him far away, meet him, and then tell him where that location is, because he knows where the location of the house that he's at. He has so much information he can use to find a way to help Gamby get into that house. And I'm hoping that they'll work with him. So my fingers are crossed, you guys. I'm enjoying the season so far. It's awesome. I'm loving every minute of it. So you guys comment below. Let me know what you all think. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next review. You guys take care.